Let's say you make $70,000 a year from your job. If you wanted to quit and travel the world or do whatever you wanted to do, you would need to be making $70,000 a year passively from your investments in order to be able to do that and not worry about money. Now, I know there's a lot of content on the internet about creating passive income, but 98% of what you see is garbage. If you want to have enough income coming from your investments to fund your lifestyle, it is not going to be easy. It is not going to be cheap because you have to have the money to actually invest first. You don't have to have all the money first, but you have to put that money aside. It's not going to happen fast. It's going to take years, if not decades. It's not going to be easy. It's going to require sacrifice. It's going to require hard work, and it's not risk-free. Investing has risks, but it is possible. So now, if you're still sticking with me through this part of the video and say, hey, I understand this stuff is not easy, well, let me show you how you can actually do it. That way you can replace your active income with passive income using strategic ETFs that will pay you with income year after year after year. And I'm gonna do that by breaking this video up into 3 different parts. I'm gonna start by laying the foundation of how you can actually create income from your investments to actually make this happen. Number 2, I'm gonna talk about the specific ETFs that you can consider investing your money in. No, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a random guy on YouTube. Investing has risks. You're never guaranteed to make money when you invest. In fact, you will lose money at some point. So make sure you always do your own due diligence and never blindly trust a random guy on YouTube. And then number 3, I'm going to show you how you can actually execute. That way you can see the returns and maybe even faster. Let's start with the foundation so we're on the same page. The difference between an ETF and a stock is when I go out and invest in an individual stock, like say McDonald's. MCD is the ticker symbol of McDonald's. If I buy 1 share of McDonald's, I own a piece of the McDonald's corporation. Now, I don't have to go and work at the McDonald's company, but I get to get a piece of the profits that McDonald's has. And the way that I get that is through 2 things. Number 1 is appreciation. So if McDonald's stock goes up by, let's just say $100 a share, well, now I just became wealthier because my investment went up in value. The other way that I can get paid is through dividends. A dividend is a cash payment that McDonald's gives out because they have such big profits. This is one of the things that McDonald's does. So when a company has billions of dollars of profits at the end of the year, there are 3 things they can do with that cash. They can save that money for an emergency. They can take that money and reinvest it back into the company, meaning McDonald's can go and create new burgers, open new franchises, do a bunch of other things, or they can take that money and just give it away to the shareholders with a cash payment deposited into your account. That's what a dividend is. Now, the nice thing about you investing in McDonald's is if McDonald's now takes over the world, you're going to see the value investment go up and you're probably going to see bigger profits and bigger dividends and you're going to make a lot of money. But the downfall is if McDonald's burgers get really disgusting and people stop eating it and then they get sued and then they declare bankruptcy, not only do you lose the income that you were getting from the dividends, but now the company is going to go bankrupt and you lose everything. So that's the risk. More risk for more potential gain, and not every company pays a dividend. In the time when we're recording this video, McDonald's does pay a dividend. The alternative to a stock is investing in a fund. What type of fund? Well, what I'm going to be discussing today is an ETF. An ETF is an exchange-traded fund. These are funds that trade just like stocks on the stock market. And now instead of investing in one company, I might be investing in dozens of companies, hundreds of companies, or thousands of companies, depending on what type of fund I'm investing in. And now this ETF might invest in companies like McDonald's, maybe invest in Apple, maybe invest in Amazon, and hundreds of other companies. That way now I have some diversification and some protection that I don't have to worry about managing myself. So if McDonald's does go bankrupt, this fund will then remove McDonald's and replace it, and I don't have to do anything. So lower risk for lower potential return, but you don't have to worry about managing the actual stocks inside of the ETF. That's the benefit of it. With these ETFs, you can still invest for dividends, you can still invest for appreciation. What we're going to be focusing on today are dividend-paying ETFs, because the goal for today's video is how can you create enough income from these funds to potentially replace your job income. And let's do a little bit of math to make this sink in. If you wanted to replace your $70,000 income tomorrow and you could get a 1% dividend on the ETFs you invest in, you'd have to invest $7 million. If you could get an average 2% return a year, you'd have to invest $3.5 million to get the $70,000 a year. If you get a 3% return, $2.333 million. If you could get a 4% annual return, $1.75 million. If you can get a 5% return, now you just need $1.4 million. And if you could get a 10% annual return, you would now just need $700,000. Now I know what you're thinking. Jaspreet, just need $1 million? Do you not know how much $1 million is? Look, I know it's a lot of money, but this is why so many people fail at this process, because they look at these numbers and say, oh my God, Jaspreet, I'm never gonna be able to replace my income because I don't have $1 million or $7 million to be able to do this. But here's the part that a lot of people forget. You don't need this money today. In fact, you actually don't need all of this money really ever, because if you invest in the right funds, what will happen is, number one, you're going to be growing how much of this fund that you own. But then number two, if the fund starts to grow in value, your investment starts to grow in value. And if the dividends also increase, the income that you're getting is also increasing. Not just because you're putting more money in, which you are, but also because the companies are making bigger profits, so they're paying out bigger dividend checks. So as you get more shares of the ETFs, each share starts to pay out bigger dividends. This is how much money you need in order to get that income today. But this is not how people actually achieve this income. But people look at this and say, this is why I'm never gonna invest for dividends. So now that you understand this, let's actually jump in and talk about the different types of ETFs you can consider investing in, and then I'll show you how you can actually execute on it to make it work. I'm gonna break these dividend ETF categories into 5 different sections. I'm gonna talk about broad United States dividend ETFs, I'm gonna talk about international ETFs, I'm gonna talk about growth ETFs, but not what you think of when you think of growth stocks. I'm gonna talk about growth dividend ETFs that are actively working to increase their dividend payments. I'm gonna talk about REIT ETFs, real estate ETFs, and then we're gonna talk about something a little bit weird for number 5, not dividend paying ETFs, but interest paying ETFs. So let's jump right into this, and I wanna remind you that for those of you that are investors, my team at Briefs Media publishes a free daily report called Market Briefs, where we break down what's happening in things like the stock market, housing, crypto, global markets, and our own economy into a fun, witty, and easy to read newsletter. It's completely free. It's read by hundreds of thousands of investors every single morning, and if you want to join, all you have to do is click the link below. And when you join, you're also going to get access to a complimentary investing masterclass that I put together just as a little bonus for joining Market Briefs. Starting with category number 1, the broad United States dividend paying ETFs, I'm going to talk about SCHD and VYM. As a disclaimer, I am personally invested in both of these, and I don't recommend what I do to anybody else. SCHD is an ETF created by Schwab. VYM is an ETF created by Vanguard. These are 2 of some of the largest asset managers, money managers in the world, but the whole idea behind both of these ETFs is very similar, is that these are investing in United States companies that are paying out dividends, and they're working to specialize in these funds, invest in those United States companies that are paying out dividends and will hopefully be working to grow the dividends and the profits over time. And at the time of recording this video, SCHD is paying around 2.4% a year. VYM is paying around 2.6% a year. So this is giving exposure to United States companies that will hopefully grow in value, but are also paying out dividends. There's also an international version of both of those ETFs created by Vanguard and Schwab. Vanguard's international high dividend ETF is VYMI, and Schwab's is SCHY. And as a disclaimer, I'm personally invested into this ETF right here. Now, international funds and stocks are interesting because a lot of companies outside of the United States don't just benefit when the company grows, but they can also benefit when the country is growing. And so there are certain countries and companies that are in the world that have the potential to grow a lot faster than those inside of the United States, because not only is the country growing, but the company is also working to innovate inside a fast growing, fast developing, emerging market, which can create more potential opportunity. But that also means it comes with more risk. So you'll see that these funds have higher yields, higher dividends, but there's also more risk associated with it, but more potential upside. You can see the value of the fund grow even faster and the dividends grow faster, but it also has the same risk to fall just as fast. So VYMI is paying out around 4.1% a year, SCHY is paying around 3.9% a year at the time of me recording this video. Then we have dividend growth ETFs, and this is an interesting one because when most people talk about growth stocks or growth ETFs, they're generally talking about those smaller companies, the smaller stocks that are working to grow the value of their stock, the stock price, as fast as possible. Here we're talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about investing in the companies that are working to grow their dividends, their income payments faster. And I'm going to go over a couple of ETFs here. One is NOBL, Noble. The other is REGL. And these are focused on companies that have been working historically to increase their dividends in the past. So NOBL invests in S&P 500 dividend aristocrats. What that means is NOBL is only investing in dividend-paying companies that are in the S&P 500, meaning they're part of the 500 largest companies in the stock market, but they must have also paid out and increased their dividend every year for the last 25 years or more. So it's a pretty exclusive club here, but you can start to see that they're focused on the companies that have been regularly increasing the dividends. The alternative is REGL. This is an ETF that's investing in the mid-cap 400 dividend-paying companies that have increased their dividend for at least the last 15 years, meaning it's one of the 400 mid-cap companies in the United States on the stock market. These are now not the biggest, but kind of those medium-sized companies. So they have the potential to grow a little bit more faster, a little bit more risky than the largest companies. But now each one of these companies has worked to pay out and increase the dividend for the last 15 years. So these are companies that have worked to find those companies that are more of an exclusive club that have been consistently increasing the dividends and have the potential for more dividend growth. Now, let's talk about REITs, because if you've been following my channel, you know that I like talking about real estate. And real estate is a great investment for cash flow. The problem is it takes more work, it takes more capital, it takes more headache to actually go out and buy rental properties. If you don't want to do that, one alternative is to invest in a REIT. A REIT stands for a real estate investment trust, and essentially what you're doing is you're investing in a company that has exposure to real estate. So instead of actually investing in the real estate, you're investing in the company that's buying the real estate. And I'm going to go over two different examples here. SCHH and MORT. They're two very different style of REITs, so I want to talk about them differently. SCHH is an ETF that invests in United States property owning REITs, meaning this only invests in companies that are investing and buying property in the United States for income. Now, REITs are unique because they follow something called the 90% rule, which essentially says that the REIT has to take 90% of the taxable income, essentially their profits, and give it away to the shareholders in the form of dividends. And that's why some people like to invest in REITs for their income because, well, they're generating rental income, they pay for the property expenses, and then they distribute 90% of the income in the form of dividends. So this is investing in companies that are actually buying those rental properties, whether they're office or apartments or anything in between. MORT is a little bit different, M-O-R-T. This is investing in mortgage REITs. So this is not investing in the companies that are buying the properties or buying the land. This is investing in the debt on those properties. Very different. This ETF doesn't invest in the companies that are owning the real estate, they're only owning the debt, and this is paying a 12% dividend at the time of recording this video. Now you might hear that and say, oh my God, Jaspreet, 12%, that's crazy. Why don't I just dump all my money into that? That's gonna give me some great returns. Well, more return comes with more potential risk, right? Well, and that's what's going on here. Mortgage REITs are much more risky. They're much more volatile. You see them go up and down, which is why whenever you do your investing analysis, make sure you don't just look at the dividend number because it can be extremely deceiving. Now, for some people, this might be a good investment for their portfolio. For others, it will not be. I want you to understand that when you do your analysis, looking at the dividend number by itself is never, ever, ever enough to decide if it's good for your portfolio or not. Always look at the underlying asset. What are the actual companies that you're investing in, and see if that's actually a business that you'd want to be a part of or want to own. And number 5 are interest-paying ETFs. So these are going to be the most different than everything above because these ETFs are not actually investing in stocks or companies. These ETFs are giving you exposure to interest. And more specifically, what's happening here is these are short-term treasury ETFs, meaning you can lend money to the United States government. And in exchange, the government will pay you with interest. And the nice thing about that is that the United States government is considered a risk-free investment because the United States government will always pay their bills. Now, that doesn't mean they always have the money to pay their bills because they generate money from taxpayers and tax dollars, but they have the ability to pay their bills because if they don't raise taxes, they can just get that money printed from the Federal Reserve Bank, so they have the ability to pay their bills. And with these ETFs, you're getting exposure to the short-term treasuries, and you get the interest without actually having to go and lend money to the United States government because these are ETFs you can trade on the stock market like any other ETF. You can buy and sell it whenever you want. And the other benefit is with the interest from these ETFs, you are generally not subject to any state or local taxes because it's interest from the United States government. So a couple benefits there. But the way it works here is you have SGOV and BIL. Both of these are short-term treasury ETFs. And now you're not actually going to see any appreciation in the value of your investment, because with all of these, the goal is, number one, you're going to see the value of your investment go up, but also the dividends would go up. Ideally, that's how it would work in the best case scenario. With these, it doesn't work like that, because the price of these ETFs doesn't change. The only times it changes is when it pays out the interest, and it pays out the interest monthly. And so you'll see the value of the ETF drop by the amount of the interest, because you're really just buying something that's paying you interest, and the value of your investment is not changing because it's backed by treasuries. And if the United States government were to default, then yes, the price of these would probably drop, but that would create a whole lot of other problems. So the prices of these are backed by United States treasuries. You're generating interest. The value of your investment is not going to go up, but the interest rate that you get can change, and it's going to vary depending on where interest rates are. So if we do see interest rates get cut, then the interest that you're going to be paid would also go down as well. But if you wanted to generate some interest and you don't care about the value of your investment going up or down, this could be a way for you to generate some interest and not actually have to go through the hurdles of lending your money to the United States government. So now we started by laying the foundation of how this can work. Then we talked about the different types of ETFs that you can invest in. Now let's talk about how you can actually execute, because there's a couple of things that I want you to understand. The first question that many people ask is, well, how much should I be investing into these ETFs? And the thing that I like to talk about is not trying to time the market, but rather when it comes to these types of funds, follow ABB. This is what I talk about. ABB means always be buying. And what that means is your goal isn't to sell these funds now for a big profit, because the goal is income. And the way that you get income out of these ETFs is if you own a lot of these funds. And the way that you can own a lot of these funds is by always be buying. Every time you get paid, money should be going into these funds. And so now you need to set up an automatic cadence where money is automatically going into these funds every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. And this should happen whether markets are going up or down. I don't care what is going on. People always freak out when markets are crashing, but that's the time you should be buying more, not the time you should be selling. And even when markets are going up, you keep buying, because the goal is now to keep accumulating more shares of these ETFs, because as you accumulate more shares, each share is going to pay you an additional amount of dividend. And your goal is to maximize this, the amount of dividends that you're getting. And the way that you can maximize that is by owning a whole lot of shares. So you have to be consistently buying these funds. And if you try to time the market, well, then your money is just sitting on the sidelines, and you need to keep accumulating more shares of that fund. The second thing I want you to understand is that as this fund starts to pay you money, this can be an additional source of income to buy more shares of these funds. This is called DRIP, Dividend Reinvestment Plan, where now every time you get paid with the dividend, many brokerages will allow you to reinvest your dividends, your profits, back into the fund. But you do have to understand that even if you reinvest this money, you still have to pay taxes on the dividends that you did get. Something for you to keep in mind. But now, if you want to actually succeed, it is a long-term game. I call it a decade of sacrifice to really start to see those types of returns that you're looking for, which is where now you put in the sacrifice for 10 years to spend less and earn more, so you can invest like crazy. And if you can do that, invest like crazy to invest in the income, well, in 10 years, you'll have a solid stream of income coming out, and then you can start to decide, do you want to keep reinvesting this dividend income, or do you want to start using it to help pay your bills, or maybe, depending on how aggressive you were, to potentially replace the income that you have. Now, sometimes it can happen in 10 years, sometimes 20, sometimes 30, sometimes 40 years, depending on how aggressive you are in the funds that you're investing in. But the whole idea is you keep investing into this until this can replace this, your active income. When your passive income replaces your active income, now you are financially free, because you can quit your job tomorrow and you still got the money coming in from investments to fund your lifestyle. And the other nice part about this, that investment income is taxed at a lower tax rate than your active income. So with that, now we have talked about the foundation, which ETFs, and how do you actually execute. Again, if you want some additional resources, you can check out Market Briefs. I have the link for you down in the description. And the best thank you, if you got value out of this video, is to share this video with a friend or a coworker. America is entering a debt death spiral.
When debts rise relative to incomes on a chronic basis, right now for the U.S. government, it's almost $1 trillion a year that goes to interest payments. When you run a large deficit, you have to sell debt to do that. And when I calculate it, the quantity of debt sold to be sold is much